Watch this.
It's exciting in that there's new things happening, but in the end, I think the system worked. Now, whether people are happy with the result and think it's fair is another question entirely.
There are several questions about the big question on Idaho's ballot, whether or not to open Idaho's primaries and install ranked choice voting. So we thought we'd ask Alaska, see how they're handling it way up north. Prop 1 won't be the only thing on your ballot. Want to know what is? Well, lucky for you, we've put together a comprehensive voter guide. And for those who might be intimidated by tech, we're going to walk you through it.
That leaves me and so many other players nowhere to play all winter long, so we're not going to be able to play the sport that we love to play.
Just in time for activities to move indoors, one of the Valley's largest tennis facilities just told its members they need to find another spot to serve and volley. And they aren't exactly loving it. Well, Idahoans are about to decide on something that we're told will fundamentally change politics in the Gem State. Voters are being asked whether we want to open Idaho's primary elections and decide our general elections by way of ranked choice. Proposition 1, the voter initiative backed by Reclaim Idaho and even several former Republican state leaders, would get rid of the state's GOP closed primary and bring in a blanket primary where the top 4 winners, regardless of party, would advance to the general election. And there, the single winner would be decided by ranked choice voting. So we've broken this down several times here on the 208. Those in favor say it's a way to elect more representative leadership to avoid the extremes of either party, while the opposition tells us it would be confusing, costly, and ultimately untrustworthy.
I'll use the last example, right? They now have a Democrat congressman. They've never had one. And they're all going, hey, how did this happen? I didn't vote for the Democrat. It happened because they kept counting until they got to the end and got the Democrat to win. Maine's the same way. The Republican wins election night, the Democrat wins the next day.
As we pointed out before, that's not how either of those elections in either state played out. The leader, after the first round, ended up winning in both states. But to follow Speaker Moyle's lead, let's use Alaska as an example. The last frontier first voted in open primaries and ranked choice voting 4 years ago. A very similar process as the one Idaho is considering, with the top 4 from the primary going to the general election. But already there's a ballot measure to ditch it. So to check in to see what has transpired since 2020, we reached out to James Brooks, a reporter who has covered Alaska politics since 2016. He said 2022 was an odd year because, well, they had 2 ranked choice elections in just 5 months' time. One to fill the seat left by the untimely death of a congressman, the other, the November general election. So we started our conversation with, overall, what is the takeaway from 2 years ago?
Reaction was, it's mixed. If you're a conservative Republican, you don't like the system because open primaries disadvantage people to the extremes. There's not a far left in Alaska, as I'm presuming there's not in Idaho as well. And so if you're far right, you're the folks who are most disadvantaged by the system.
Alaska and Idaho are similar in the number of registered Democrats, but when it comes to registered Republicans, in recent years, because of the closed primary, Idaho's number has pulled presumably from the unaffiliated, while Alaska has remained dominantly undeclared.
Folks don't necessarily vote independently, but they're not willing to declare a party.
When this passed in 2020, it barely passed, by the way.
Yeah,
it was
less than 1 percentage point.
Less than 1%. What was the reason behind it, though? Why did people want this to happen?
Basically because they felt that the pre-existing system disadvantaged moderates. The idea was moderates were getting knocked out in primaries, and this encourages people to run towards the middle.
Did that happen in 2022? Was that kind of the course of the election, more moderate?
It was. We saw Sarah Palin, who was the Trump-endorsed candidate, who was considered the far-right candidate. She finished second, ultimately, but lost to Mary Peltola, the Democrat, who was considered a lot more moderate.
It also happened in the Senate race, when moderate Republican Lisa Murkowski was reelected over the Trump-endorsed Kelly Tshibaka.
Now, it doesn't automatically mean that the moderate will win. In the governor's race, for example, we have a very conservative Republican governor. He won against a more moderate independent and a Democratic candidate that same year.
Overall, then, after 2022, did everybody think it turned out well?
If you won, you did. Before the election, Democrats were telling me, if ranked choice voting comes into place, we're never going to win another statewide race again because there's just too many Republican-leaning independents. And then we saw the 2022 race, and that changed a lot of Democrats' minds. And Republicans, particularly conservative, hardline far-right folks, saw themselves being losing races against more moderate Republicans. And so that really is the basis of support for the repeal effort this year.
Yes, after just one election cycle.
If you have two Republicans of equal likability, the vote gets split out, the Democrat wins, then you're not representing the people of that community.
There is a repeal of ranked choice voting on Alaska's general election ballot next month.
It was sold to us as something that would create a bigger voter turnout. We've never had a worse turnout.
The case for the repeal, as best as I can make it, is that it is not fair. That parties should be allowed to pick their candidates, and that it should not be controlled by the state of Alaska.
By the voters. Okay. So then what's the case against the repeal?
The case against the repeal is the idea that voters should have more choice. And with ranked choice voting, there's less of a penalty if you have multiple candidates running.
Lastly, when we try to talk about this idea happening here in Idaho, people say, well, look what's happening in Alaska. That's why we shouldn't do it. When you hear that, what do you think?
I think that there's not enough evidence at this point. We have run this twice in 2022. We haven't seen significant changes in policy yet. We have seen moderate Republicans beating more conservative ones. We have seen a Democrat winning unusually, but we don't know yet whether those results will lead to changes in policy.
We also asked James about the other complaints with open primaries and ranked choice voting. For example, the complaint about having too many choices, that being too confusing. And it's true, Alaska's special primary in June of 2022 to replace the deceased congressman, they did have 48 candidates on one ballot, including Santa Claus, who's actually a real city councilman from North Pole, Alaska. But you only voted for one in that election, in that primary. And James said the lead up to the general election, it went back to a more reasonable 4. So what about the delay in results we've heard about with Alaska? How you don't know who the winner is until well after Election Day, leading many to suggest an opportunity for sabotage, a la the Speaker of the House from Idaho. Well, James reminded us that isn't a ranked choice tabulation thing. That can happen overnight, in fact, in a matter of hours. But it is an Alaska thing because the state is so large and many residents are overseas or even out to sea. They built in a 15-day window for ballots to be received post-Election Day to make sure they all would be counted. So what are their forecasts for Alaska repealing RCV? Well, James told us it's too close to call. Back in June, the polls had the repeal ahead by 2 points. But 2 weeks ago, well, that flipped. So the enthusiasm was there in the beginning, but it has since tapered off. And that could have something to do with the influx of millions and millions of dollars into the vote no on the repeal campaign. Well, either way, in 12 days, we'll know how Idaho decides on ranked choice voting, and then 15 days after that, if it survives in Alaska. So ranked choice voting, amending Idaho's constitution concerning non-citizens voting, who's running to be your representative in Idaho's legislature, their sheriff, commissioner, judge. There's a lot to consider this general election. Well, the good news, we can help you navigate your ballot in 2 languages. Here's your tour guide, Joe Paris.
We are quickly approaching Election Day, coming up on Tuesday, November 5th. You may ask yourself, well, what's on the ballot? One of the best resources you'll find for the election in Idaho is the KTVB Voter Guide. Go to ktvb.com/voter-guide, and it will bring you to this page. And for starters, if you're not even registered to vote, we've got lots of great resources here in this resource page at ktvb.com, talking about how you register to vote, who's eligible to vote. If you want to get an absentee ballot, what you need to do that. We have everything on one simple page so that you can go through, make sure you're ready to vote, have everything you need to vote. And then what's on the ballot? Well, we got everything you need to know. I know at the top of many people's ballots, it's going to be the President of the United States of America. Maybe that's a race that you already have a feeling on who you're going to vote for. Totally understood. But as we get into some more of the Idaho issues, we can take a look at things like Proposition 1 and the constitutional amendment. A lot of us have talked about Proposition 1 in our newscast. Maybe you're new to the conversation. We even have a link right here that explains how it would work. It also has the entire ballot question on here as well, so you can read it for yourself. It's not just about the ballot questions, though. The school districts, because of a change in Idaho law, they will also be asking for levies and supplemental levies on this ballot in November. So you can scroll through our entire guide to figure out what's on the ballot in your area. And then if you want to go down to the county level, we won't start with Ada County because we always talk about Ada County. So let's take a look at some other parts of Idaho. We'll go out to Lemhi County. We'll go north, for example. You can see exactly who is on your ballot here, what is up for vote, and, well, what's going on in your neighbors' areas as well. This is a great place to start for researching candidates. You can figure out who's on your ballot, and then you can take a look at their website and their platform to see if it interests you. Of course, a major note in Idaho, every seat at the Idaho legislature is up for election. So it'll be a whole new body at the State House making the laws for you. And, well, this is the list of all of them. You'll likely see a Republican and a Democrat in each race, and then you might see some independents or some libertarians, whatever you might see in your area. The KTVB guide, though, has everything you need to know. Something else I do want to mention, you can share this with your friends and family. This is something that you can sit down with your absentee ballot, go through it, and have a conversation with this pulled up as your cheat sheet. Something else I do want to talk about, too, all of our resources are also available in KTVB and Espanol. Our Hector Mendoza and our team has put together everything you need to know in Spanish in case that is an easier medium for you to digest. As always, we will send you this guide instantaneously to your phone. Just text the word VOTE, V-O-T-E, to 208-321-5614. And if you have any questions, it's a great message line to also send us what your thoughts are. Election is a week from Tuesday, so get those absentee ballots back. And Brian, I've seen a few versions of the same question essentially sent our way, asking about stamps on the ballots.
Yep.
If you take it to your clerk's office, you do not need to put a stamp on the ballot.
True.
You should be able just to put one forever stamp on it, put it in the box, should be good to go.
All right, but otherwise, drop it off for free
Yes.
at your elections office.
And if you don't trust the Postal Service, that's totally fine. Just take it to your county clerk's office.
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, the Eagle Tennis Club has been a staple for indoor tennis for nearly a decade. It was opened by a tennis player who was hoping to help with the shortage of indoor courts. But she only owns the tennis club and not the property it sits on. Well, the owner decided to sell the property to Lifetime Fitness, a national athletic country club chain. And they plan to open their first location in Idaho very soon. But that means the 900 members of the Eagle Tennis Club are going to have to find another place to play. And with the weather just about to get frigid, that news came as kind of a cold plunge shock to the system. Outside of finding an unused warehouse large enough to fit 12 full-size tennis courts, now what? Aspen Shumpert stopped by the club to find out.
For Elliot and Owen McPeak, seniors at Rocky Mountain High, the Eagle Tennis Club has become their home court.
Oh my goodness. Out, I'm calling it.
The twin brothers are at ETC almost every day, they say, getting reps in with the hope of going back to the state championships next season.
We play together, we practice, we push all of each other to become better.
But in 1 week, they'll have to serve up a goodbye to ETC.
I was out with some friends, and my brother called me and he was like, you have to come home like now.
An email from ETC owner Kara Hogue, October 12th, told members the club would be closing for good in 2 weeks. Kevin Lampome is part of the ETC's adult league with a 7-year-old son in the junior program.
The timing of it is what I'm struggling with right now.
Current property owner Caleb Roop says Lifetime Fitness is taking over the property on November 1st and taking away court space.
I mean, some of the best high school players in the state are getting coached out of here.
Like Sophie Jacobs from Eagle High School.
I think she lost in the high school finals to her teammate.
This place is very meaningful for a lot of people, and so, you have state champion Shane Garner, he won a state championship and he signed on to a college just up there above the courts.
Many of the 900 ETC members, like Owen and Elliot, say they had no idea this was coming.
But no one told the people that play tennis here that was going to be happening until like 2 weeks before it was going to be shut down.
Hogue started ETC because there was a shortage of indoor places to play. With the sale of the property, the shortage returns.
It's like what they don't understand is they're ripping apart a community.
Oh boy. Obviously my senior year, so I'm hoping to perform really well, state, maybe win a state championship for my school, win in singles. So I was hoping to play here all winter long like I have in previous years.
The building will be closed for the next 2 to 3 months for renovations. When it reopens in early 2025, 6 of the 12 courts will be gone, and 9 pickleball courts will be there instead. Later, more will come, like exercise areas and swimming pools.
They're just trying to get a new gym open for the new year, and they don't really care about what happens, nor do I think they understand what they're doing.
Elliot and Owen's options are try to get in on the wait list at the Boise Racquet and Swim Club.
They're telling people that if you're putting your name on right now, it's over a year long, probably over 2 years of a wait to be able to become a member there.
Or play outside this winter.
And of course there's rain and snow and ice and all of that. When a tennis court gets wet, it's like you just have to wait it out. Otherwise it's super slick.
1-0.
The off season before hopefully getting a college scholarship.
This is the time to improve. This is the time to come here to play, to grind, to become better. And to not have that opportunity to become better is rough.
Members are hoping Lifetime will serve up a change in their plans.
If Lifetime wanted to make a peace offering to the community, changing their plans slightly so that they're not shutting down completely, leaving that open for a few months so that the juniors do have the opportunity to keep playing. I think that would go a long way in at least building some trust with the community.
ETC owner Kara Hogue wasn't willing to do an interview with us, but we were able to reach the property owner Caleb Roop for some answers on why the changes and why so sudden. Roop says plans for a fitness facility like this started in 2018, but with the pandemic, they never went through. Around 2022, he says conversations started back up, and Lifetime Fitness got their design plans approved back in May, and everything was finalized within just these last few weeks. When I asked why the sudden notice to members, Roop said it was this unknown as to whether or not Lifetime was going to go forward. Roop and ETC were playing a little bit of a waiting game as well as negotiating with Lifetime to keep the courts open through winter. He says it doesn't sound like Lifetime wants to do that.
Okay, so you've spoken to the owner, or the new owner, Lifetime.
Right.
They're going to reduce the number of courts. What else did you find out from them?
Yeah, also when I talked to Roop today, he said that the sale hasn't been finalized yet, and it's going to be an $8 million sale, and that is scheduled to go through November 1st, which is why the ETC members have to be done by October 31st. Now, Lifetime wasn't willing to share a lot of details because that sale hasn't gone through yet, but we can expect some updates once that happens.
Regardless, still a short amount of time left.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Aspen. As you probably know, fentanyl is killing Idaho teenagers, and tonight you can find out how to prevent that from happening. Something else that kills, well, that'd be guns, which a record number were found at the Boise airport, trying to be taken onto a plane. Hunter Funk tells us more about that and other 208 news in today's 411.
Fentanyl poisoning is the leading cause of death for teens in the U.S. Idaho Fentanyl Education says more than one person a day dies from a drug-related death in Idaho. The group is holding a free fentanyl education event tonight at 6 at Notice High School. If you can't make it tonight, you can book the group online now. The total number of guns confiscated by TSA at the Boise airport reached a new record this year. So far, 43 firearms were found in carry-on bags. A not-so-fun fact, 86% of firearms found in carry-ons have been loaded. Heads up, Boiseans, you can now recycle number 5 plastic tubs like yogurt, sour cream, salsa, plus number 1 plastic water bottles too. For a full Boise recycling guide, visit this story on our website, KTVB.com. Do you have Friday dinner plans? The new In-N-Out Burger near the Boise Town Square Mall is opening tomorrow. This is the second In-N-Out to open in Idaho. The first one's by the Village at Meridian. It opened up nearly a year ago. Music lovers, Treefort finally announced its lineup for the 5-day music festival. Headliners include Sophie Tucker, Shaky Graves, Bright Eyes, and much more. The festival bumps through Boise March 26th through the 30th of next year. You can buy tickets online right now. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Hunter Funk.
All right, let's get right to your comments to end the show on a Thursday. Like this one from Evan in Ada County. It's disappointing that House Speaker Mike Moyle would be spreading false information about Prop 1. Even more reason to vote yes, he says. Well, the main reason that Steve voted for Prop 1 is that it allows every voter to vote in the primary elections. All taxpayers fund. No voter should have to register with any political party just to exercise their right to vote in any election they pay for. They should have separated Prop 1 into two props. Ranked choice seems quite expensive for the software and machine costs. As an independent, I would like to vote in an open primary, but not at that cost, says Mike. Well, we already heard it's 25 to 40 million, but it would be a one-time cost to get those machines throughout the state of Idaho. The fact that there is so much money being thrown into the yes on Prop 1 TV ads makes me very suspicious. Got to be like 5 to 1 or better. Outside money, yes, and more like 4 to 1. We've done this story once before to kind of explain where that money is coming from. I voted early, says Kip. After seeing your story on Prop 1, I should have voted yes, followed by Barbara, who says the more you talk about ranked choice, the more confusing it gets. Find all the stories we've done on our YouTube channel. Hopefully you won't be confused anymore. We'll see you tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.